Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is just my series where I just talk about some of the areas and questions that I've thought about in my time as as an entrepreneur and navigating that journey. So I think the thing I want to talk about today is like the odds of success. Like the probability of success, the probability of failure, like that's kind of like a metric that's thrown around quite a lot when it comes to entrepreneurship. Like, 99% of business will fail in first 3 years or whatever, like whatever the statistic is. Now, the question I guess I want to discuss today is, should you make that data point, I guess, should you use that to inform whether you should pursue like entrepreneurship? And the reason I'm discussing that question is because me, as someone who's like a fairly data-driven person, I use data. I like to use data to kind of inform a lot of my decisions. And that's the kind of skills I use in my career, in my businesses, stuff like that. So so why not use that in your personal life as well? So it is something that I've thought about quite extensively, I would say. And the statistics, I guess, paint a good picture of the likelihood of success. Like, on a large enough scale, you can see patterns emerging. Like, and that's quite telling, I guess. But one aspect that I think doesn't get discussed enough is the probability of success. Now, you can say, oh, okay, if the probability of failure is like 99%, the probability of success is quite easy to work out from that, isn't it? Now, I guess yes and no, but it depends how you measure probability of success. Because one of the things that I've learned is, and this was a point I think I saw being discussed somewhere, and I found it quite interesting, which is when it comes to business, probability of failure is a metric that's like quite well known, because you can calculate that, what the probability of failure is, because we have the data for that. But probability of success and like how big the success is going to be is a bit of a difficult one, because you can win small, you can win medium, you can succeed big, like so it's like the return is kind of unmeasurable, because businesses can grow exponentially and technically unlimited, like unlimited, and it has unlimited like growth potential essentially. So based on that, like you're kind of when you take into factors such as the probability of failure and stuff, it's important to take into account the probability of success and like how high the success likely could be, because I feel like that could help you make a more informed decision, and it might actually change your final decision, depending on what your personality is like. If you're very risk averse, if you do this type of calculation, you might actually realize, okay, like the risk that I'm going to be taking on in comparison to the results I could actually get is that ratio is favorable, so you might actually decide to do it. If you're on the other side, you're a bit of a daredevil, you might realize that the risk of doing this actually far outweighs the return that you're likely to see from doing this business, so you might decide to not do it. So I think it's a fairly important point to consider. And it is true, like the chances, or rather the the scale of your success is unknown, because like you can never really know like what a company can turn into, and the chances. There's lots of other factors at play. Obviously, I'm not saying every company will do this, or even your company or my company will do this, but we're talking about the probabilities, right? So there is an option to win big. Like if we're thinking about the let's say the other option, which is don't start a business and pursue employment, and kind of work your way underemployment. So I think they call it like intrapreneur, and or just the corporate route of working up the ranks, becoming an executive, stuff like that. That's also a way to be very highly paid and successful. So let's say that and entrepreneurship were your options, right? Now aside from the obvious differences between that people usually pose, which is being your own boss, freedom, blah blah blah. Like, I think both should be considered, and if you decide then that you want to take the corporate route, you also have to do the same type of analysis. Like, cool, like what are the chances of you becoming the CEO or C-suite or whatever your ideal role is that's like highly paid, right? We're talking about let's say the two routes are work your way up to C-level executive, or a founder, director, etc., right? Now, you can work out like the chances of you being that, because if you think about it, there's only one CEO now, one CEO in a company. So if you're talking about large companies, Fortune 500s, and even medium sized companies, they might have anywhere from like 1,000 to like 100,000 and more employees, right? So and they only have one CEO. So based on that, like do the calculation. What are the chances that you're going to end up as CEO of a company, or of a company like that? Take into account the time it takes. That's not a short journey. It's definitely like a game of tenure, because whether you're moving around and working your way up, or whether you want to stay in one company and work your way up, you're going to be there for at least like 20 years, I would say, to start being in the higher ranks and then be a potential CEO contender. So that's not a short game, but it is well rewarded. But again, it comes down to the size of the success, right? Now the CEO's pay is like decided by a committee, and you could have a favorable committee, but it is always capped, like, because you can get paid equity, stuff like that, and that's perfectly fine. But there's a difference from having zero equity and being awarded equity, to having 100% equity and then giving away equity as you need be, right? So those are a bit different. So there's a pros and cons to both methods. You have to see what works for you, because if you're not the founder type or a business oriented person, that C-level executive role is a good way to go, in my opinion. So anyways, I guess the point I was trying to make with this example, or these two routes, is that in a way the C-level executive role is kind of capped, because you are, at the end of the day, you're an employee, and then like a committee, you're going to be hired by a shareholding committee, and you're not a founding member, so you don't automatically have like clout, as they say, like that. So you're hired to meet targets, meet the shareholder targets and stuff like that, which, you know, I agree that if you're a founder of that level, your targets are the same. But, you know, regardless, you as an external hire is always going to be a bit different to you as a founder. In my opinion, I will let you know when when I get to that level and see how it is. But yeah, regardless, I feel like the reward in that route is a bit capped, whereas the reward in the you know, the route of entrepreneurship is a bit more unlimited. So you know, high risk, high reward, I guess. But you know, is entrepreneurship really more risky? I don't know. Like, you have more control, I guess, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So yeah, I guess that's a topic for another video. Sweet. Peace out.